welcome to my channel. My name is Nick, and whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. Not only am I a major horror fan, but I am an unabashed slasher lover. And while putting together a video on my favorite underrated horror movies currently on Tubi, I realized I needed to make an entire separate video on the best slashers on this service. If you aren't already using Tubi, it's a free ad-supported streaming service that has all the gems. Quick disclaimer, because I have to say it, I am just talking about my personal favorite slashers, and also these are probably only going to be on the service for like a month. So if you're watching like a year from now, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should be subscribed and have those notifications turned on. That way you stay up to date with what to watch and where to watch it. Number 10 is Terrifier. This throwback to old school slashers is about villain Art the Clown, a serial killer who slices and dices his way through the seedier sections of LA on Halloween night. Stalking a pair of drunk friends, he traps them in a building where no one is safe. Terrifier is as basic as it gets, but that's perfect for this list. If you're just looking for simple hack and slash kills, this one has the goods. And some problematic material, so proceed with caution.
What if that guy did this to your car?
What guy? The clown?
Number 9 is Xenoevil, a mid-2000s slasher about a group of delinquent youths who are tasked with cleaning up a crusty old hotel. Unbeknownst to them, a monstrous serial killer lurks within the building who begins picking them off one by one. Get ready to hear that a lot in this video. Xenoevil is fun to me because it gives us exactly what I'm looking for in a slasher. We have a solid creepy location with this dilapidated hotel. Kane, a pro wrestler, plays the villain, so you know he means business, and we have a solid blend of characters that you want to root for and others that you want to see torn to pieces.
This is the first program of its kind.
Your hard work this weekend will pay off in shorter sentences.
We left county for this.
Number 8 is Urban Legend, a 90s slasher about a group of college students who are targeted by a killer using urban legends as inspiration for high-concept murders. You know, a producer watched the opening scene of I Know What You Did Last Summer and was like,
"This lunatic killer's escaped from an insane asylum."
That's not the way it goes. The boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this, like, scratching sound.
No, he's been decapitated. No, he was gutted with a hook.
Yep, we're making a movie of that. It's 90s cheesy in all of my favorite ways. It's got a decent chase scene, an underrated villain in my opinion, and also one of my personal favorite opening kills.
They are the legends we've all heard.
Isn't there another story about a guy with an axe hiding in a woman's back seat?
Number 7 is Severance, a British dark comedy slasher about a group of employees on a retreat in the countryside to do team building exercises, but they work for a weapons manufacturer and a militia group is not too pleased with their business, so they begin killing them off in gruesome fashion. I remember watching this back when it hit DVD forever ago, and it really didn't do it for me, but I'm glad that I gave it a second chance before making this video, because this is one of the most underrated movies on this list, and I'll admit, I can be really picky about horror comedies and any kind of comedy in my horror films, but Severance does it right. It plays out like a dark comedy with violent murders and strong character work, which is what I would like to see a lot more of in the slasher subgenre.
Stop! Stop it! That is really dangerous!
Severance. The company's making cutbacks.
Number 6 is House of Wax. The mid-2000s remake of the Vincent Price classic is about a group of college students on a road trip who become sidetracked in an abandoned town with a house of wax and a pair of sadistic serial killer twins looking to fill their tourist attraction with fresh bodies. Okay, this is the one that you're just gonna have to give to me, okay? I understand it's flawed. I remember seeing this back when it came out in theaters. I was so excited. I was there opening night and I loved it. And then months later, I remember watching it on DVD and being like, oh, actually, this dialogue is atrocious, and there are some serious character flaws in this movie. Most of the movie is honestly quite flawed. I get it, but I don't care because this is still one of my most rewatched favorites, and I consider it to be very entertaining, even if it's stupid. This is a big budget slasher like we rarely get to see. You've got this entire town our characters are running around in, a couple of creepy killers, and I mean, getting waxed to death? Damn! Also, can I point out that I think this movie just has like the most most fun trailer ever. Like, even if you don't want to watch the movie, just go ahead and give the trailer a watch. It's a good time.
You're saying that that's a real person underneath?
They're all wax, everyone! Help! Please, somebody!
Number 5 is Malevolence, a mid-2000s slasher about a group of criminals who rob a bank, snatch a couple of hostages, and head to the country to lay low. They come across a house in the middle of nowhere where they decide to hide out, unaware that a merciless killer is lurking nearby. In a way, it sounds like every slasher ever, but its simplicity is one of its charms, and I like that our characters are complicated people who you can choose to root for or against, and the whole movie has this dreadful atmosphere that just packs a punch to the brutal kills. If you're a fan of serial killer flicks, they have the entire Malevolence trilogy on Tubi. I happen to really enjoy the sequel, Bereavement, which is actually a prequel, the one that stars Alexandra Daddario. Really enjoyed that one. This series explores the origins and journey of a serial killer, and it is very disturbing and not entirely nuanced, but if you're looking for a new boogeyman in your life, you've got to check these out.
Come on out, Courtney.
Number 4 is The Burning, an 80s campground slasher, and I already made a video on the best 80s slashers on Tubi, and most of them are still on there, so you might want to check that out, but they added another one of my favorites that I have to talk about. Based on the urban legend of Cropsey, The Burning follows the caretaker of a summer camp who was horribly burned in a prank gone wrong. Years later, he returns to the camp to exact his revenge by slicing and dicing his way through the campers with a pair of gardening shears. I have a whole lot to say about The Burning, and I plan on making a video on it at one point to really dive into it. But just to keep it short, I'll say that while this movie has its problematic elements that should not be overlooked, like many movies on this list and many other 80s slashers, I do have to say this is the one that got me into 80s slashers a good 10 years ago now when I stumbled upon it on Netflix, you know, back when Netflix was cool. It's an equal mix of cringe and kills, but it has everything you're looking for if you're into classic slasher thrills. Number 3 is The Town That Dreaded Sundown, a slasher that is part sequel, part remake, and overall underseen. Based on the Texarkana Moonlight Murders of the 1940s, a copycat phantom killer arrives in town to recreate the famous murders. A young woman must try to uncover who's behind the mask before she becomes the next victim. This movie is not perfect. It is certainly edited in a very direct-to-video manner, but it still does just about everything I love. It has this small town vibe, a strong but realistic heroine, and a compelling slasher who pulls off some pretty gruesome kills.
Now, before that summer, everybody would leave their doors unlocked. And after the summer, you saw a stranger, you'd run the other way. And now, he's back.
Number 2 is Pumpkinhead, an 80s favorite that I still think is far too underseen. Lance Henriksen stars as a single father in the country whose son is taken from him when a group of careless teens come to town. Seeking revenge, he goes to the witch in the woods to summon the evil Pumpkinhead to take out the kids in a vengeful manner. Not that I want to lessen the term slasher, because clearly I am a fan, but I will say this is not the traditional slasher. If you just want to see kill after kill, that's not what you're gonna get out of Pumpkinhead. Most of the effects work goes into the creature itself, but I love that. It's a surprisingly sentimental family horror film that's light on gore but full of heart, and it has all of the spooky pumpkin patch vibes you need to get you through the Halloween season.
There's an old graveyard way back deep in them woods. The thing you're looking for is in there.
Number 1 is Candyman, another one that isn't entirely a slasher in the classic sense, but Tony Todd's rendition of the character has gone down as one of the most iconic slashers in horror history. Based on Clive Barker's short story The Forbidden, this 90s horror stars Virginia Madsen as a grad student tracking the origins of urban legends when she comes across the tale of Candyman. This leads her to the Chicago apartment complex of Cabrini Green, where she's lured down the rabbit hole into a world world of horror. Personally, I think this is best seen as blind as possible, so just go in expecting more of a mystery that gets real messed up. They were playing this at my local drive-in last year around Halloween, and I dragged my friend to go see it with me. She's not even into horror films, and I was like, we're seeing Candyman, and even she got into it. I think this is one of those horror movies for everyone. The body count might be low, but the horror elements are still off the charts. This is one of the most enduring horror films of the 1990s and shouldn't be missed. They also have the third one on Tubi, and the second one is over on Amazon Prime in case you're looking to catch up before the reboot hits theaters. Yeah, I got you.
She's here.
Candyman.
If you're new here, welcome to my favorite segment, the bad movie recommendation. You might consider any of the movies on this list bad, but I always have to point out one particularly bad favorite of mine. Black Christmas 2006 is a remake of one of my favorite horror films ever. Set over Christmas break on a college campus, a group of sorority sisters are harassed by a killer who has already snuck into their home, and then everyone gets their eyeballs plucked out. Too bad this fun stuff from the trailer didn't make it into the actual movie that is all kinds of bad, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I watch it every Christmas Eve.
All he wants for Christmas
Is Megan in her room?
is a new family he can treat like his very own.
Let's get into some bonuses, because right now they do have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 currently streaming. They also have all 4 Hatchet films, including Victor Crowley. The remake of Night of the Demons is another low-budget, schlocky good time that I wanted to mention because I have fun with it, but no one talks about it. And I have to be real about one, because I'm pretty sure at some point I recommended Laid to Rest, and I planned on putting it on this list until I rewatched it recently, and I'm sorry, but just me, it did not hold up, like, at all. Like, oh my god, no. I even tried watching the sequel, I couldn't even finish it. But if you love these movies, good for you, that's perfectly fine. They're both on Tubi for your viewing pleasure. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. Let me know what your favorites are, or if there are any other favorites that you've seen on Tubi recently that you want to shout out, please do. You can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd for more movie recommendations. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.